We are back with another edition of What's Next, Living Longer, Better, Smarter, live at the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP podcast stage at CES. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with Mary Furlong. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Fred. We're just surrounded today by so many startup companies and also great technologies here at CES.
And we're going to visit the gaming tables, but a different kind of gaming table.
Yes. Our friend Ted Fischer, who just got off the stage presenting here at the AgeTech Collaborative. So Ted, tell us what you were talking about.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks for having me. So I just spoke with Greg Olson, the state director of the Office of Aging in New York. And we spoke about games, and we spoke about play, and we spoke about our Reach Out and Play initiative that we've partnered together on. And it was a great session. We got to talk a bit about what went into reimagining the Hasbro games that we have come out with, and the focus on older adults and intergenerational and peer-to-peer play. One of the insights that we talked about was, in order to make I think the minimum bar, everybody knows Monopoly and Scrabble and all these things, but if you're going to reimagine these iconic games, you've got to do it in a way that is appealing. So the games have to be really fun. And in order for, I think, games to have the fun and impact that we were looking for in this space, they've got to be great peer-to-peer and intergenerationally. And our Reach Out and Play initiative that has been sponsored by AARP, that's been nationwide. We've had hundreds of events since September. I'm proud to say that AARP signed on for another year as a sponsor in 24. And I think the reason they did so is that the impact and the results of all of these great game events that we had were that people just wanted more connection, more fun, more play, more togetherness. And so we had a nice time talking with Danielle, and that's what we talked about.
With us from the Samsung Health House, part of the AgeTech Collaborative booth, joining us is the CEO of the last Gameboard, Shail Mehta. Hi, Shail.
Hi, how are you?
Terrific. So tell us about this fun technology that you have developed.
So at Gameboard, we fundamentally believe that the devices that we have today are isolating, right? We're now connected more than ever as a society, yet we all feel completely alone. How can you use technology to facilitate human connection, really help with what loneliness, how it affects us? So Gameboard is a device created to be social. It's the first ever social gaming device where people sit around, play simple games, anything from chess, checkers, Hasbro games, all the way to Dungeons and Dragons. It connects generations, it connects family, and most importantly, it's about above the board. When you play on Gameboard, you should feel like you created a memory, that you had fun, whether you fought with your family playing Monopoly. You should walk away feeling like you felt connected, you were social, you weren't just passively playing on Fortnite with all these addictive algorithms. You were playing to feel connected to people. And that's Gameboard's mission. We bring humanity back into gaming with, we call them forever games, simple, indelible games that people have been playing for hundreds, chess, 2,000 years.
So how did it come about? What's the story?
Well, I learned English by playing Dungeons and Dragons. So, when I came to the US, I didn't understand the language. I didn't understand a lot of the customs. And there was this group of kids playing snakes and ladders, Chutes and Ladders in America, snakes and ladders in India. And I sat down and I started playing with them. And I think simple tabletop games, it connects humanity. Like everyone across culture, cross country plays these games. And I sat down and I started playing with them. I learned English, I made friends that way, and gaming has stuck with me since. So I wanted to build a product, build an experience based off of a hardware product that allows for you to feel that sense of connection and community. So Gameboard, when you turn it on, there's a library of games. You can select and click whichever game you want to play. Multiple people can interact and touch the device, and you can use physical pieces on Gameboard itself as well. So the pieces they're not battery powered, there's no RFID or NFC or anything like that. If you have a chess set, you can use it on Gameboard.
Really terrific. Let's go back to Ted here, because Ted, your initial focus at Ageless Innovation wasn't on games, but that kind of took off last year, I suppose.
Yeah, so we've always, our purpose at Ageless Innovation is to reimagine how we positively live and age together by unleashing the power of play. And as you know, our initial products were the animatronic companion pets, interactive pets that were, sort of high-tech devices where we try not to talk about the technology. We try and let the users and the magic tell the story. And we started that brand at Hasbro. And so my team and I were there. We launched the Joy for All brand, which is Hasbro's first ever brand focused on older adults. And 3 or 4 years later, we got the opportunity to spin that business out and acquire the brand so that we could focus 100% on older adults, which was hard to do inside of the walls of Hasbro. They have a couple other demographics that they're very concerned with.
Ted, I got to participate in one of the game days. We got to host one. And I've never seen my friends and also people I didn't know have so much fun together. So what is it about how it breaks the ice and it makes everyone come together?
Yeah, I gave this example on stage a minute ago. So for anybody who was there listening, I apologize. But my grandmother, who was a huge inspiration for our brand, had progressive dementia as my kids were growing up, and we used to go visit her on weekends. And you'd get to the memory care community, and there'd be 2 people in the hallway asleep in a wheelchair with oxygen, and it was a scary situation for kids who, that's like going to the surface of the sun, like, yeah. And then we'd get to my grandmother's room and we'd get her on the table and we'd pull out Jenga, and the world got immediately back on axis, right? The play had this ability to sort of level the ground and make everybody on the same footing. And so what you see in what we've witnessed through now hundreds of events is that both intergenerationally and peer-to-peer, the desire to come together and to tell the stories and to have younger people learning from older people. And that's, our generations themed games, like our Trivial Pursuit generation. The idea and the inclusiveness of bringing it together is that on every card, there's a question for the greatest, the boomer, the Gen X, Gen Z, and millennial. And so all generations can play together, and there's not one subject matter expert who's going to clean the clock, right? So if my kids know a heck of a lot more about the Gen Z stuff than I do, for sure. Right. But I learned from them as we're playing, and I'm like, I had no idea that was the singer of that song. And when I tell them things like Jack LaLanne is the fitness guy, they're like, who's Jack LaLanne? I'm like, oh, Jack, he's great. A green jumpsuit, used to do calisthenics on TV. You're like, really? So you learn, and part of it is the sharing and what people are getting from each other. And that's been the experience in a lot of these reach out and play events. Not only have we had young people who come in a little bit skeptical of what's going on here. I'm going to play games with older people, and they leave wanting to volunteer and spend more time with older adults and be part of it. And so there's a real, and I love what you're doing. It's really inspiring. And I think we're both approaching this from the how do we bring people together around this enjoyable activity. It's not just about the difficulties that people are facing, the challenges of aging and all those things. They're just humans who want to have fun and want to be together and want to play. And I think the things that we're creating are helping to bridge that divide.
I was just saying, I think there's something so powerful in the simplest of things, right? Where you can just play games that everyone knows and loves, and then suddenly you're having this conversation and you feel so connected and open to someone. And that's, to me, like, that's what gaming is meant to do. It's meant to connect. It's meant to bring generations together. And if you can't do that, then why are we doing any of the gaming if you can't bring people together?
And as Orly reminded us, the next generation of older adults grew up with games.
Oh yeah.
Grew up playing online games too.
Yeah.
So who doesn't want more play in the world? Now, what about all the gaming going on around this casino?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different type of gaming, but people seem to enjoy that too. I didn't enjoy my losses at the blackjack table yesterday. For the 15 short minutes I got to play.
Because I was there at the fortune. Ted, I have another question for you. How, being someone who's been in the industry for a while now, in the AgeTech industry, how does it feel to be at the AgeTech booth here today at CES?
So I was, our products were at the first AARP booth here at CES, however many years ago that was. And honestly, the room that you're in, that was the whole booth.
Wow.
That house.
That little Samsung house.
That Samsung house was the whole booth. That was the actual booth.
That's amazing.
And there was like a bedroom and a living room, and our cat was in one room and our dog was in the other, like on a couch. And to see what it's become, 13,000 square feet and 20 entrepreneurs and innovators showing off their thing. I mean, I give hats off to Andy Miller and his team and Amelia for what they've done over these years to bring this to the forefront, to be at the, the largest consumer product show in the world, where the buzz is all about, the latest TV or the latest electric car. You walk around here, I've never seen a buzz like I have, and the traffic that's going through here. So,
Incredible.
seeing that growth, Marion, you're a huge reason why this growth has happened. There's not, I don't think, a person that comes through this booth or is exhibiting at this booth that isn't connected to a friend of Mary and part of the network of people that have come together to sort of grow this industry. I saw Eddie Tubbing from Sing Fit, who's what I call the one of the lone survivors. And, 10 years ago there were only a few of us, and so when I see those guys, I give them a big hug. I'm like, we're still here. This is awesome.
Well, I think it's like there was the internet, and now there's longevity and AgeTech, and it's the quality of talent of people coming into the market. But I feel the same way. Andy and Amelia and Rick and others, the whole team, they gave us a home inside of CES, and they gave us the home that's like the top college, right? All these really smart people from around the world. So it's causing social impact, and I'm glad it's not in the digital health area. I think it's better in the home area.
I agree.
Next to COVID. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think that this is not just about, I think digital health obviously is great and it has its place. And I think AgeTech and AARP are doing their part for that. But I think this is more about holistically us as humans, like how we are, not just when we're aging, but how we are in this entire life cycle, right? How do we feel happy? How do we feel a sense of well-being? And everyone has to focus on the family unit. And that's an entire process. So I think this is a perfect place to be, because it is about the home. It's about how do we engage in the home? How do we connect in the home? How do we feel fulfilled in the home? And I think it's incredible to see this. This is my 4th year at CES, and I was in Eureka Park with Gameboard a few years ago, just working, and now to be a part of AgeTech Collaborative. Last year I had the booth, and now we're in the Samsung house. Like, the support that this community has created is incredible for startups.
Describe your hardware for us a little more fully so people get an idea of what this consists of, and do you need 2 of them if you're going to play remotely? How does this work?
Well, you could. I mean, if we wanted to play, Fred, wherever you have a game board, I have a game board, we can play together. There's no cameras on Gameboard. It's literally a 17 by 17 inch device. It's lightweight, it's thin, it's portable. There's speakers and microphones on it, so we can talk to each other and hear each other as we're playing. So you feel like you're in the same room, you're playing the same game, but you could be across the country, across the world. And all you need is a game board. You can physically sit around and play together, or yes, you can play remotely wherever you are.
Very neat. And the little board is connected to the internet. You connect it to your Wi-Fi. Is that the idea?
Correct. It's connected to Wi-Fi. When you turn it on, there's like a library like Netflix where you have all these games. You just click on whichever game you want to play and the board becomes the game. So if you want to play chess, the board will turn into a chess game. If you want to play backgammon or mahjong, right now we have 40 games on the platform. We have over 300 in the pipeline that we're deploying. So there's fun, easy games or really complex games if you want to do that as well.
And do you buy the games individually, or is there a subscription? How does it work?
You can buy the games individually. Like, if you only wanted to play chess, you could purchase chess for like $5 on there, or you can subscribe for $15 a month, and that gives you access to the entire library. There are also some free games on there as well. So there's, it's like easily to pick up and you can start playing. If you're not subscribing, you can still have a ton of games to play.
Pricing and your website.
So we currently have a wait list for Gameboard. We haven't announced the new price yet, which we're hoping to do in summer of this year, but it's below $500. And we have a wait list right now. So if you go to our website at lastgameboard.com, you can sign up for it. When we become available later this summer, we'll announce the new price, a whole suite of new games, and the ability to ship it out before the holidays of this year.
Congratulations on your innovations. Ted, you've been in this business for so long. Tell us what your thoughts are about. I mean, this is really growing the ecosystem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. And we know one thing for sure. Although our focus with the Hasbro games and the back to the iconic be together around a board. We know that it's not possible for everybody to be in the same place all the time. So what you're doing in terms of making the accessibility feel like you're with others in places where it's hats off. It's fantastic. And I think we're looking at digital as well in a different and unique way as it relates to some of the things that we're working on. I think we're probably a couple years away from that, but we're trying to bridge the same gap. We want to make sure that as part of our vision to be more inclusive for older adults and their families and caregivers and peers to play, we know that we've got to make sure that people who can't be physically together have the opportunity as well. So yeah.
Ted, sorry to plug my own thing with you, because I see a lot of collaboration opportunities. We can digitize a physical game in less than 6 weeks.
Wow.
So, and you can immediately have it on Gameboard, set your own pricing, and people can connect and play wherever they are as an option.
Awesome.
Mary,
Wow.
it sounds like we have maybe a deal talk podcast coming up on this. Let me talk to you real quick about the resurgence of board games. I mean, I talk to my kids who are, grown, and they have kids, and they all want to play board games. Look at that.
Well, I think one of the reasons, honestly, so we were creating our own games. We've come out with a couple of card games based on reminiscence therapy that were more along, sort of the cognitive spectrum. And Hasbro actually came to us and said, "Hey, listen, we're seeing this spike in the use of our games by older adults, but we're getting some feedback that they're not as easy to play as they used to be. They're not as inclusive. They're not as, there's not as much fun." And they said, "We think there's a real opportunity here and we don't know this audience and you do. So we think you should do it." And I said, "Yep, you're absolutely right. We should." And it took us 4 seconds to say yes. And what we've learned in this is that if you're willing to go and talk to the experts who are the older adults, they'll tell you exactly why and what and how. And we, that is our design philosophy. That's what we do. We work with older adults on every aspect, from the initial game concept to the size of the pieces to the speed of the gameplay. And it's worked so far. I think the games we've come out with the feedback's been amazing. And we're really excited. We just got our next 3 games approved this week from Hasbro, so we'll be coming out with those this year. Yeah. So we expect to come out with 3 to 5 new Hasbro games and maybe a few of our own each year from now on. And I hope the trend of folks wanting to get together around board games continues, because we're gonna keep feeding it.
I love it. I'll add one thing to that. I think that your initial question was around why are people gravitating towards board games? And if you look at it, right, like a lot of video games that are on Steam and Xbox really have addictive patterns to it. The same algorithms that consume social media are the same things that are consuming gaming today. And it creates bad behavior. ADHD, depression, suicide in the youth is specifically rising because people feel so completely isolated. And that also translates to when we age and as we get older too. And I think board games have seen such a massive resurgence because it's about simplicity. It's about taking it back to the roots of just wanting to feel connected in gaming. And I think what you're doing is absolutely brilliant. Reimagining the games to make them more accessible is the cornerstone of this.
Yeah,
it's that bringing joy to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Joy and play. What could be better? Fred, isn't this a great?
And Ted, people are going to find you at joyforall.com, right?
They surely can, Fred. Thank you very much.
And it's the last Gameboard.com for you?
Correct. I'm a walking billboard.
Just terrific. Well, thank you, both of you, for joining us and playing games with us here. Mary, we aren't finished yet. We're going to be back here with more of the What's Next Living Longer, Better, Smarter podcast from the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP podcast stage at CES.